Welcome to GPH100P Weather and Climate. I'm Professor Luna. I'll be your instructor for this semester. I want to talk about why this course is important and how it's organized so you know what to expect for the remainder of the semester. If you've been watching the news, it's kind of hard to avoid the coverage around Hurricane Harvey, the big hurricane that struck the Gulf Coast recently, hitting Texas particularly hard, but also Louisiana. If you're old enough, you might remember another event about 12 years ago, Hurricane Katrina, that struck New Orleans, but also the rest of the Gulf Coast in 2005, and the pictures look awfully similar. At that time, we thought Hurricane Katrina was the costliest natural disaster to strike the U.S. in its history, but it turns out that Hurricane Harvey is actually going to exceed that now. We're talking damage in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's a really disruptive event, very expensive, and unfortunately a lot of loss of life and injury, and a lot of people are going to be recovering for a long time. Hurricanes are a big business, and if you've been lucky enough not to have been in one, you may ask, why are they so destructive? Why are they so damaging? And there's a lot of answers to that, actually. But you may not know also that there's a hurricane season and that we actually kind of know when to expect them. There's a lot at stake when it comes to understanding and predicting the behavior of hurricanes. And in order to do that, to be able to predict that and understand that natural phenomenon, we have to know the science behind it. And it's not just hurricanes, but tornadoes, blizzards, droughts, a lot of types of weather phenomena that can be very expensive and very damaging are really important to understand. And so they affect all of us in some way, if not personally, then possibly economically through society, because we all eventually pay for these things. So in this class, we're going to spend a lot of time understanding the science behind these phenomena, how we understand them, and how we use that science to try to grapple with these things so that we can deal better with them, so we can avoid a lot of these problems. Probably the biggest thing that's looming on the horizon, or it's already here actually, is climate change. And we are going to approach climate change, but not to the latter end of the semester, because climate change is a very complex set of sciences. And we're going to spend most of our time on meteorology and climatology so that we can better understand what people are talking about and how to evaluate statements around climate change so that we're better informed and we make smarter decisions. So we're going to get to that, and in fact that'll be the basis of our final project course. Instead of a final exam, we'll be doing a project, and I think you'll find that more interesting. So let me talk about the structure of the class. So Weather and Climate is going to run on a largely weekly rhythm. So it's going to run kind of like a normal class. We are doing this entirely online, but everything you submit and all of our interactions will be conducted online, although I am accessible through regular office hours. If you come to the Canvas page, or I should say when you come to the Canvas page, you'll find almost all the resources you need to understand how the course is organized. First and foremost is the course syllabus, which you can see as a link right here on that front page. When you look at syllabus, you're going to see something that should be pretty familiar, a description of the course and what the goals and objectives are for the course, which I kind of described to you already. One of the key things that you should know right now is that there is a required textbook for this course, The Atmosphere by Lukens and Tarbuck, and so it's the most recent edition, and it's really important that you get a hold of this book immediately because we're going to be using it regularly, and there's required reading every single week this semester, and we'll be drawing on that directly to do the homework that'll be in this class. So if you don't have it, go get it immediately. You'll need it, and it will be worth your time and your money. So in the course, since it is a regular course and it's running like a regular course on a weekly basis, you need to keep up. And that's so that we can prevent any crises later down the road. We don't want things to pile up on you. So I'm expecting that you're following the deadlines and turning things in before the deadlines. If something comes up, though, because things do happen in life, let me know as soon as possible. Communication is the key to success in lots of things, and definitely in this class. So if something comes up, please let me know as soon as possible. I've set up a forum for people to post general questions. That way I don't get asked the same question over and over again. But clearly if you have a personal question or you need to talk to me about your particular situation, then definitely contact me directly either by phone or email or come see me during my office hours. There are going to be several types of assignments throughout this course. We're going to be having regular quizzes on the reading, and those will be due generally on Monday nights. So that you can stay on top of the reading, and so those readings will be accompanied by a short quiz that assesses your reading, and the answers are clearly in the chapter, so it's not terribly difficult as long as you read the material and look over it carefully. In fact, generally I suggest that you go over the quiz first to see what kinds of questions are being asked and then read the chapter, then you know what I'm looking for. There'll be regular chapter problems too. These involve typically interpreting a graph or a figure or a map of some sort, as well as using a little bit of quantitative reasoning. One of the things that you're going to find out, if you haven't found out already, is that at the base of science are numbers. We measure everything in science, or we try to at least, and so quantification, the ability to handle numbers and read them, interpret them, is kind of a key part of science literacy. So the ability to understand science and read it, interpret it, means you need to work a little bit with numbers. It won't be any complex math, but you will need to work with them. And I'll walk you through the steps for the assignments when we do that. So it shouldn't be anything totally new. And definitely we're talking. So, I want to hear questions from you. In fact, you'll be required to post those questions, which takes us to the discussion and participation part of the course. Because we're totally online, it's important that we find ways to interact regularly. And so every week you are required to participate in these online discussions in order to either post a question, post an answer to somebody else's question, or just to make an observation or a comment that's directly relevant to the material that we're covering that week. So every week we'll have a different discussion section where you can post your comments. And so again, this is required. It's a weekly basis, so there is a deadline. Now, the purpose of this is to help you. So I'm hoping that what will happen is that you'll start talking to one another and helping each other out. So, I said that. I want you to help each other out, even on the homework. I don't want you to give the question, or rather the answers away, because then you're robbing somebody of the opportunity to learn. But I would like you to help each other as much as possible, direct each other, kind of express things in a different way if they're helpful, tell people where to look in the book to find answers for things. Definitely just be there for one another, and it should make life a lot easier for all of us. And I'll chime in too if there needs to be a clarification. But definitely this is an opportunity to help each other, and also just to be aware of what's going on in the course. It's important that you interact regularly, at least weekly, twice weekly probably, in order to stay on top of what's going on in the course. Finally, there'll be this climate profile assignment that you'll be doing, and what I talked about at the beginning. This is going to be broken up into pieces. So we're going to actually do this in sections throughout the semester. That way it makes the work a lot easier. So at the end of the semester, you're going to basically bring it all together and compile one larger report that describes how climate change is affecting a particular location on Earth. And I'm going to assign those locations to you. Those will be posted as well. So we'll talk more about that as we go along. The syllabus lays out a calendar of what to expect when. And if you look at that calendar, you'll see that the regular readings as well as assignments are posted so you know what to expect when. The left-hand column over here describes what you should read by that date, and on the right-hand side shows you what's due that date. So for this coming week, or rather beginning of next week, there are two things at least that are due right away. One is that I'm asking that you post your discussion post on your own experiences with extreme weather. This is really open-ended. This is just to get us talking to one another. But also there's reading due. So by Monday of the coming week, by September 11th, you should have read the first chapter in the textbook, and you should have completed the Chapter 1 reading quiz, which is totally about that chapter. So it's very straightforward. And then that same week, by Thursday, I also want you to post a question or a comment, an observation, or an answer to somebody else's question regarding the stuff that's covered in that chapter. So we're starting the conversation. So right off the bat in this coming week, there's two discussions that you're participating in as well as a reading quiz. And then by the following Sunday, the 17th, you see the Chapter 1 problems. So we'll basically wrap up Chapter 1 material by that Sunday. And those problems will involve either, again, interpreting maps and figures, or else solving certain kinds of quantitative problems. And I'll show you examples of how to do that. But that might take a little more time, so you should always plan around that. Definitely don't want to wait till that Sunday to do that. That would be really bad. Okay, so let's look at what's going on in Canvas. So the syllabus is just reflecting what's on Canvas, but generally Canvas kind of is where you should look if there's a discrepancy, if something's different between the syllabus and what you see here. So Canvas is organized in a fairly simple way. From the front page, you should always see what's coming up and what's due, so you can see right off the bat that your first discussion post about weird or extreme weather you've experienced is available there, so you can click on it directly. But actually, the easiest way to go through this course and know that you're going through it properly is to look at the modules. So on the left-hand side, if you click on modules, and as soon as it comes up, you'll see that the course is broken up kind of in the same way that the syllabus is. So we're broken up into weeks and also into sections. They're kind of thematically related. But what's important here is that you can see that for the first week, September 6th, you can see that the first item to pay attention to is this discussion for a discussion post. And so if you click on that, I'll open it up right here so we can see what that looks like. You're going to see that we have our first discussion, what weird or extreme weather have you experienced? And so I'm asking you just to share, just to identify yourself. Say, hi, I'm Tim, or whatever my name is, and describe a little bit about something you've experienced and where you've experienced that and why you think that weather experience was kind of strange, weird, or extreme. So again, just kind of an icebreaker. As we go into the next week, week 2, we can see the dates listed here, and we see a variety of things listed off for that week. If you go through these things sequentially, meaning one at a time, one after the other, working your way down, you'll basically follow the course as it's structured to flow. So every week there'll be a task list, and first of all, that lists the things that you should accomplish for that week. So you'll see that there's a list of learning outcomes, of things that you should get out of the chapter and the material that we cover, and then a series of instructions about what kinds of things you should accomplish. Definitely read the chapter. There might be video lectures or just videos that you need to watch. The discussion, the weekly discussion that you need to post something on regarding the material that we're covering, a reading quiz, the problems, and then as we get further along, you'll see these weather and climate profile exercises, and here's where you're going to be posting your material regarding the final assignment. And again, small pieces at first, so this should be pretty easy to follow. So as we go through the course, you'll be basically working your way down through these modules. I'm still building out the later weeks, so right now it's updated to about week 3 at this point, so it's farther than you're likely to get anytime soon, but I'll build it out, and as I go, you can go faster than us, certainly, but you definitely cannot go slower than I've set out, so we need to stay on top of these things. And again, it's just so that you don't get piled up with work, because this stuff can pile up. The sciences are complex. We're not going to go into in that level of depth, but we will be covering a lot of ground. And the point is to get us to a place where we can talk about climate change, which is arguably the biggest environmental issue of our time, so that we can talk about some of the big scientific questions that come up with this kind of thing and how we understand them. And that's where we're headed with this. So I hope that you engage with the material I've placed there and that you post your questions regularly. Let us know what you're thinking. Ask things when you're confused. Communicate so that we can help each other out and we can make this a rewarding experience. And so I look forward to engaging with you and talking with you in the coming weeks, and hopefully at some point get to meet you in person. So I'll see you online.